I want to dig deeper right now. Joining us, retired U.S. Air Force Colonel Cedric Leighton. He's a CNN military analyst. And we're also joined by Evelyn Farkas, the former U.S. Deputy Assistant Secretary of Defense. Colonel Leighton, Ukraine warns that Russia is now gearing up for what they're calling maximum escalation. What are you watching for as Russia clearly ramps up its military offensive?
Well, Wolf, the main things that I'm watching for are how the Russians are disposing of their forces, where they're putting them, how they're moving them. Are there new troop concentrations in specific areas? So for the most part, what we're seeing and what the Ukrainians are seeing is that they're moving into the eastern areas, the areas where Fred was just at. These are really indications that the Russians are moving their forces forward, mainly the conscripts, but they're also moving some of their more experienced units, like the airborne units, into Bakhmut. And that indicates that they really believe that that particular city, that particular town, is one that they need to capture at this point.
You know, Evelyn, what more does Ukraine need right now to prepare for this major Russian escalation that's coming? As it waits, it's clearly waiting still for these Western battle tanks to be deployed.
Well, you heard Fred talk about the fact that the Russians have air power, or they have air, essentially power that they can employ through the air. And I think this is what's missing for the Ukrainians. You know, going back several months, the Ukrainians were trying to get the MiG, the Soviet era fighter aircraft, from the Poles and other NATO allies, and that didn't work. I am hopeful that now, given this new offensive, that we will turn around and, the U.S. can say we'll provide F-16s if that's the green light that's required, the cover that's required. But I think we need to provide the Ukrainians with aircraft so that they can provide cover for their troops on the ground.
Well, let me follow up with Colonel Leighton. You clearly served in the U.S. Air Force. Why is Ukraine publicly lobbying now? They're pleading for these F-16 fighter jets from the U.S. and from other NATO allies, despite U.S. opposition that the jets, the U.S. arguing the jets would be, quote, impractical.
Yeah, so the Ukrainians believe that they can use these jets with a minimum amount of training, Wolf. I think the fact of the matter is that when you look at how pilots are trained, it can take up to a year to train pilots in certain airframes. Now, in the case of the Ukrainians, I think we're looking at somewhere between 3 to 8 months of training. So that requires something. There's also a logistical tail that has to be considered. Plus, the right tactics have to be developed and used by the newly minted F-16 pilots if the Ukrainians get that far. So the U.S. is reluctant to do this because of a lot of these considerations. But if the Ukrainians can prove to the U.S. that they can use these aircraft and use them effectively, then perhaps the green light will happen in spite of objections that we hear right now.
Evelyn, I just want to get your reaction. The Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu told CNN exclusively last night in an interview with our Jake Tapper that he would be willing to mediate between Russia and Ukraine. Listen to this. Listen to this exchange.
If I'm asked by both sides, and frankly, if I'm asked by the United States, because I think, you can't have too many cooks in the kitchen. If asked by all relevant parties, I'll certainly consider it, but I'm not pushing myself in. I think this is of monumental importance because I think the peace of the world is at stake.
So what's your reaction, Evelyn? How realistic is that possibility?
Well, I think everyone wants to be a mediator, but the situation isn't ripe for mediation. I mean, Vladimir Putin is hardly ready to back down, as you hear the Ukrainians saying, and in fact, the Russians themselves, they're ready to launch another assault. They are not giving up. And obviously, same for the Ukrainians, they're not giving up any square footage, any square meterage of their land. So that's not a situation that's ripe for negotiation. One side needs to be winning, or both sides need to feel like they're losing. And so I think what Prime Minister Netanyahu is offering is fine, but frankly, what I think Israel needs to offer right now is weaponry to the Ukrainians so that they can defeat the Russians and defeat this violent, aggressive, international rights violating foreign policy of the Russian government.
Yeah. All right. Evelyn Farkas, thank you very, very much. Colonel Leighton, thanks to you as well.